Hello. Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Hope you can hear me. There are 3 students. Am I clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I was waiting to see if there would be more students to join. Right now, let's start the work. Huh? Okay. Because now we have a lot of areas to cover. Not only today, even in the sessions to come. Right? There are several different areas. So therefore, I don't want to take a long time, right? No waiting time. So I will directly go to the screen, right? Okay. And I think I have already given you the notes. Okay, I will share the screen. Just wait and see. I have shared the notes of this lesson with you all. Hope you all have the lesson, right? The lecture note. Now, can you remember what we have been discussing? Because now we are meeting after a long time again, right? And this is where I have stopped my previous discussion halfway through the previous lesson actually, right? So can you see my screen? Is this visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Right. Okay, then I just go back with my slides to the yes, areas of discussion, right? Okay, now this is the content slide, and we have already discussed. I just remind you the areas I have completed by now, okay, in this lesson. Here we have discussed phonemes and phonemic rules we were discussing actually. Okay, we were discussing phonemic rules, and today I expect to discuss phonological processes, phonotactics, and suprasegmental features. There are 3 areas to be covered here. So I try my level best to complete the discussion, and already I have sent these notes to you. So you have these notes with you all, right? So therefore, you need to have some effort on your own effort as well, right? Because don't expect me to discuss everything here, or don't expect me to read each and every line in the notes or in the text. Other than that, I will be referring to the main idea, and whatever the areas that require explanation or describing further detailing, I would do that, but I might not stick to the lines. Okay, so if you do not follow me and also your note, you might be in trouble later on in catching the content of your lecture notes. You might understand when I'm discussing and when I'm talking, right, while listening to me, but later on you might definitely refer to your notes for the purpose of studying or getting ready for the papers, right? So there, make sure you always have this parallel between our discussion and also the note. There is a parallel, but you need to understand that, okay? Because mostly this happens in the situations where I do not read all the lines as they are, right? So therefore, be updated and be clear of what you have to do, right, regarding these lessons. And I recently got to know that I have 3 more sessions to go, including today's session. So therefore, I do not take a long time. I will directly go to the point then, right? Okay. Yeah, so therefore, I'm not going to repeat earlier discussions as well. And I will catch from this point. Yeah, I was talking about phonemic rules actually, right? Phonemic rules, see whether you now remember what phonemic rules and all these things. And this is an example of phonemic rules in the English language. Now see whether you can understand this rule. Okay. Right now here we are talking about per. The voiceless stop per has a number of variants, which means per, the phoneme per can change into several different ways of producing it depending on the particular environment. Okay, so in phonemic rules, we talk about how the particular phonemes can vary in their production, especially based on the influences from the environment. Here, environment means the sounds that are preceding as well as following. Right, now look at this. There are three things, right? Three rules actually that give you an idea regarding how per changes. Well, the first one, now you see whether you can follow these symbols. I have earlier given this to you. This is available, I think, in your lecture notes. We usually use these abbreviations as well as symbols when we write phonemic rules. Okay. Now these abbreviations and their meanings are listed here. And whenever you see a symbol like this, right, we casually call it hash. But anyway, just be familiar with this symbol. Its meaning is word or syllable boundary. Wherever you see this kind of symbol, you need to understand we are referring to or we are reading about boundary, either word or syllable boundary. And this type of a thing, position of the allophone. And this symbol, word or syllable initial position. Now this is the boundary. And then this means the initial position. And this is end position because you can see the word boundary here. So the allophone occurs somewhere here. That means at the end of the word or syllable and between vowels here. This one between vowels, and this indicates word or syllable initial before a stress vowel. Right? Stress vowel, the particular allophone we are talking about occurs in between, no, not in between actually, at the beginning of a word or a syllable followed by a stressed vowel. And here this means following consonant, right? Now just keep these things in your mind. And if you forget these symbols, it will be difficult for you to interpret and understand the phonemic rule. Now these are some phonemic rules talking about per. Then how per varies, right? You have three rules here. Now the explanations are given down there. Okay, so you need to understand the first one. The phoneme per is realized. This per, right? This phoneme per is realized as aspirated per. Now aspirated per is indicated like this. This symbol that looks like the letter H, right? Aspirated, right? So aspirated per is this. This is the particular allophone. Then where in syllable initially, you can see here, right? See, syllable initially before a stressed vowel. So the normal phoneme per becomes aspirated per in this environment. In this environment. What is the environment? At the beginning of a word or a syllable followed by a stressed vowel. So this is how you write that. Okay, that rule, this is how you write it. And the second one, it here means phoneme per is unreleased. It is unreleased before another stop consonant or word finally. Now this unreleased per is indicated like this. This is the symbol where before another stop consonant. Now this is the stop consonant or comma, word finally. There are two situations where unreleased per occurs. These are the two situations that are given, separating with a comma. And then what about the third one? Actually, these three rules means these are the three situations of the same main rule, okay? Right, what about the third situation? It is in all other, it is per, right? It is the normal per in all other environments. Normal per here means not, we are not talking about aspiration, right? And we are not talking about unreleasing, we just simply pronounce per. And this per, the normal per occurs in all other environments. Other environments is indicated by elsewhere. So you can clearly understand these three situations along with these examples. There are some words given there, and the particular sound is underlined. Actually, the letter that represents the sound per is underlined. You can easily read these rules again with the help of the example words given, and you will clearly get it. Okay, right. Now this is one main phonemic rule, and there are three situations there. Briefly to repeat, the phoneme per becomes aspirated per in this environment, and it is unreleased. The normal per is not released or unreleased in this environment, but the normal per occurs in every other environments than these two. That is what you mean by elsewhere. Elsewhere indicates anywhere except for these two environments. That's the idea, right? Okay. Well, I think you could understand this phonemic rule, and this is only one example, right? So be familiar with the phonemic rules. And then we have another thing called phonological processes. Phonological processes means the general processes of phonological change. Here we talk about phonological change means sound change involved in allophonic variation. So how do we understand the sounds of these allophones change? These phonological variations or phonological changes of the allophones. We show it, and that is what we mean by phonological processes. And these apply to classes of sounds that share one or more features. We'll have a look at that. Right? Now, this is one example for phonological process. That means all consonants are labialized before rounded vowels. You need to be clear with this, right? All consonants are labialized because all consonants are not labialized. No? Now, you know what labialized? Labialized means we produce consonants with the help of the lips. Okay? The labializing consonant means we produce consonants using the lips. It happens in this situation before rounded vowels. Before rounded vowels. That means when we use or when we produce a consonant sound before a rounded vowel, then we labialize that consonant, which means we use our lips to produce that consonant. Because you know about rounded vowels, right? Rounded vowels means lip rounding. Vowels that are produced by rounding both lips. So when the point is, when we produce any consonant before, immediately before a lip rounding vowel, we use our lips to produce that consonant also. That is labialization of consonants. The idea is that, right? So the phonological rule related to this situation can be written like this. C here means consonant becomes labialized consonant. Labialized consonant, you write it like this, okay? Labialized consonant before or in front of rounded vowel. You need to separately understand the meaning of these abbreviations. If you do so, then easily you can catch the meaning of any phonological rule. Okay, so you have the explanation. C includes here stops, like pool, boot, tool, any stop consonants, or any fricatives like this, or affricates and liquids. C means as a whole consonant, no? So consonant can be either fricative or stop or affricate, nasal, liquid, any. These are the sub categories of consonants you already know, I think, right? Stop and these categories. These categories of consonants are identified based on their place of articulation and manner of articulation, right? Especially these categories are identified based on the manner of articulation of the consonants. So C stands for consonant. And VO rounded includes, what are the rounded vowels? Then lip rounded vowels. U and O. Actually, lax and tense vowels of U and O. Lax means a short vowel, that means U. And tense means U. Then lax O, tense O. Okay, I have given only two, U and O. You need to understand both tense and lax. Categories of U and O are rounded vowels. Okay, right. Then these examples, you can understand these words, I think, right? Pool, just take this word, for example. Pool, there. Now look at per. Per is a consonant, that's a stop consonant. Right? So how do you say per? Why? Rounding the lips, no? And this lip rounding occurs specifically because following sound is a lip rounding vowel. Ooh, pool, ooh sound is there. And similarly, boot, tool, dot, poke, good, like that. Following vowel is always a lip rounding vowel, not only the first set. In the fricative set also, you can see that, and affricates, nasals, liquids, in all these situations, you can find the following vowel is a lip rounding vowel. So therefore, automatically, we labialize the consonant. Is this clear? I didn't ask from you, anyone from you, actually, I was talking and talking. But did you get some idea about these phonological, phonemic rules and phonological processes? Yeah, not clear.
It's clear, madam.
Okay, right. Thank you, Shani. And there are some more rules like that, some more examples. Here you have another one. Alveolar sounds are dentalized before a dental. Actually, very easy to understand these phonological rules, right? Because automatically now, you know, if there is a following dental sound, then we produce, whatever the sound we produce becomes dentalized because of the influence of the following sound. Okay, that is the logic behind this. Even this earlier example is based on that logic. Here also the same, only the sounds are different. Alveolar sounds are dentalized before a dental. You know, normally alveolar sounds are the sounds that we produced by touching the alveolar ridge with the tip of our tongue. So the s, t, d, n, l, these are alveolar consonants. What is the point here? What is happening? This the sound change process, these alveolar sounds become dentalized. Dentalized means we produce these alveolar consonants not at the alveolar ridge, but at our teeth, upper teeth. The alveolars become dentalized. Why is that? It happens because the following sound is a dental sound. If the following sound is a dental consonant, then alveolar sounds become dental. Now, you know, according to the places of articulation, alveolar ridge is one place and upper teeth is another place, two different places. But because of the influence of the following sound, this place of alveolar sounds can change from alveolar to dental. Okay, see the examples. And the rule is written like this. This set represents alveolar sounds. And these alveolar sounds become dentalized. So see, the dentalizing is indicated like this. In front of or before a dental consonant. So we have only two dental consonants, the and the. These are dental consonants, only two dental consonants. So the point is, if now in front of the or the, if we use any alveolar consonant, it will become dentalized. And examples, there are several examples. Look at the first one, sixth. Sixth, here you need to write this in phonetics, otherwise you will not recognize the sounds clearly. Sixth, in this word, right, we have X, the letter X. What are the sounds of the letter X? K and S. X, right? Okay, I will write in phonetics. Writing here is not easy like this, but right now this is the phonetic script of the word sixth. And we talk about this S in the sense not S, actually sir, the sound sir. This is a the alveolar consonant, right? Sir is an alveolar consonant. But look at the following consonant. Following consonant, the is a dental consonant. So because of that, because the following consonant is a dental consonant, this sir becomes dental. Dentalized means that this sir becomes dental. Now you can simply check this, okay? Naturally, don't think a lot. Don't plan your pronunciation. Simply and naturally pronounce this word. Forget this phonetic script also, which I have written on screen. You can switch off your mics, right? I don't want to hear, but you naturally pronounce this word S-I-X-T-H because that's a common word in English vocabulary, right? Pay attention to your tongue, right? Especially when you pronounce the middle part of the word. Somewhere in the middle, where you pronounce X, sixth. Where is the tongue? Even before you go to the last consonant, that is the, don't you feel your tongue already touches the upper teeth? Sixth. Yes or no? No idea. You can check it because you don't have to accept whatever I'm telling you. Okay, you can try this. And the same thing, eighth and 10th. Pay attention to these bracketed sounds. And in 10th, we talk about n. And in 8th, we talk about t. And in wealth, we talk about l. And with, we talk about the. All these are alveolars, but they become dentalized because the following sound is a dental consonant. Okay, right. So that is another phonological rule. Two phonological rules are there. I want you to understand what is happening. What do you mean by phonological rules and what happens there? I think this is clear. Okay. And we have another topic now that is called phonotactics. Phonotactics. I don't know whether this term is familiar to you, whether you have heard it before. May I know anything about that? Like whether you have any kind of familiarity? Phonetics, you know, okay? You can't say that you do not know phonetics and phonology, these things. But this is phonotactics. Any idea? I mean, don't take time to read this stuff now. You just let me know whether you are familiar with phonotactics, whether you have heard it before, like that. Yes or no? Yes? You're
No,
gonna...
ma'am. No,
No.
ma'am.
Uh-huh. Hmm. All right, so we are going to talk about it. I don't know about the others because this is not very, very famous or very common. But this is there in linguistics, especially in phonology and phonetics. This is there. So you better be familiar with this, right? And phonotactics, I don't want to discuss in length, at length. No, I will introduce the term to you, okay? You have here the main idea of phonotactics in the very first line. I will underline it. Phonotactics are the constraints on positions and sequences of sounds in a language. This is the idea. Constraints on positions and sequences of sounds in any given language. You will understand clearly when we talk about the examples also. So let me go to the text here. Phonotactics are always language specific. That is, combinations of certain sounds may be permitted in another language which are not permitted in English. Okay, right. So there, what do you mean by constraints on positions and sequences of sounds? Now the thing is, in some languages, not some actually, in all the languages, there are combinations, possible combinations of sounds. And also there are combinations of sounds that are not possible, never possible. We can't imagine combining several sounds together because such combinations are not existing in our languages. Phonotactics means that. In phonotactics, we talk about uh, the issues. Issues means constraints. The exact word is actually constraint. Constraints on positions and sequences of sounds because some sequences or combinations of sounds are okay. And some other combinations or sequences of sounds are not okay or not possible and they are not therefore permitted. Phonotactics means these impossible combinations of sounds. And you need to understand phonotactics are language specific. Phonotactics in Sinhala may not be same with the phonotactics in English or Tamil. So they are always language specific because certain combinations of Sinhala may be okay in Sinhala but may not be okay, may not be accepted in English or any other language. That is why we say these phonotactics are always language specific. And now look at this one simple example here. You have this combination. Per and na. Now, do you have any English word, right, that has this combination of sounds? There are two sounds here, per and na, right? Per and na together. At the beginning of a word, right? Okay, at the beginning of any English word, do you ever see this combination? What do you think? If you say yes, then you have to take a long time to find. I don't think you will ever find. Because this combination is not possible. We don't find any English word that begins with per and na. Per na, that means this per and na cluster. No. So that is phonotactic in English language, right? In English language. Yeah, okay, now we have some categories of phonotactics along with the examples. So we will have a look at them. There are positional constraints. Positional, here you have the term positional constraint means, sorry, constraints on the positions of sounds in English. Talking about positioning, right? So one example is this. Nga is never word initial. One very good example for positional constraint. Now you know this nga, right? Are you clear with this sound? I mean, can you understand or identify, recognize this sound? Nga? Yes or no? If not, please tell me. Because before you understand the phonotactic or this positional constraint, you need to first understand the sound, identify the sound. Do you know this sound that I have circled here? Nga. The pronunciation is nga. Yeah. Familiar? What are the words you have nga?
Is never word initial, ma'am.
Sorry? I didn't catch your question, please. Who is that? Shani? Can you please, yeah, Shani, could you please tell it again? I didn't catch.
Is never word initial.
In English? Yeah, there are so many words in English that contain this sound. Any example? Anyone? I'll write a word here so that you can recognize the sound. How do you say this word? Is an English word, no? I-N-K? I-N-K, we spell it like that. What about the pronunciation? When you pronounce the word ink, nga. Letter N is pronounced as ng, ink. Clear? Okay. And there are so many words where ng occurs, not only ink. But if we come back to the point now, we are talking about the phonotactics. Phonotactics, there are positional constraints. Ng is never word initial. So you don't find any English word that begins with ng. Ng occurs only in the middle position or sometimes in the end position. That's all, never in the initial position. Now, when you just think about a word like nothing, there also you have ng in the end position, not in the front position or initial position. It is word medial only after a stress vowel as in anger. Now, here also you have an example, anger. Anger, ng occurs in the middle position and after a stress vowel also. Stress vowel is a. That is stressed, anger. Okay. This gives you an idea about the environment where ng occurs in the medial position. But this is the point. The main point is this. Ng never occurs in the initial position, right? And you have some more examples here. In English, we find that initial consonant clusters are much more restricted than final consonant clusters. Initial consonant clusters. At the beginning of words, there are consonant clusters. And at the end of the words also, we can find some consonant clusters. In initial position, phonotactics of English do not allow the following sequences. So look at these examples in the initial position, right? At the beginning of a word, we never find these combinations. P, T, P, N, P, T, S, F, T. At the beginning of a word. You might find these combinations at the end or in the middle. Okay, but not in the initial position. So per, both are stops, and per is stop and is nasal. Likewise, you have the explanations, right? Explanations in the sense you have the categories of these sounds in these lines. They are given for you to understand the nature of these concepts. Now, this is another set of examples for phonotactics in English language. In English language, okay? Right. And the only permitted syllable initial sequences are the following. Now, what about these? These are not the phonotactics. These examples are not the examples for phonotactics. They are permitted. They are possible. That means voiced or voiceless stop plus approximant like per, le. Okay, we can use. And per, r, we can use. Ber, le. Possible. Ber, r, s, k, le, and k, r. All these are possible, and that is why we have all these words in English vocabulary. And fer, le, another possible one. Per means voiceless fricative, and le approximant, and le. Actually, these possible sets are categorized into four types, like according to their nature and the categories, right? Voiced or voiceless stop plus approximant, that's okay, permitted, and voiceless fricative plus approximant, that is also permitted, and plus voiceless stop like spend, sting, scare, right? And plus nasal, like snail, sneak, nasal. Nasal, it should be stop. Nasal stop, right? I don't know what is there in your note. Check your lecture materials as well. So even this combination is fine. So all these are permitted. So these are not examples for phonotactics. As we are talking about phonotactics, you need to pay attention to these situations as examples. But now you might think, okay, why then we have such a lot of words beginning with these consonants? Yeah. But still, you need to understand the nature, right? Stop plus stop, never permitted. And stop plus nasal, no. Like that, these are the impossible or not permitted. In other words, phonotactics of English language. Okay, right. And you have more examples talking about the final consonant clusters. Now, here we talked about initial consonant clusters, what are not permitted and what are permitted. And talking about the final consonant clusters, they are freer and more complex than initial clusters, containing up to 4 consonants. Now, in the earlier situations, we had a look at consonant clusters containing 2 consonants. But there are some in the final consonant clusters that can have up to 4, even 4 consonants together, right? Yeah, the listing is not exhaustive, right? It's just some examples. Yeah, some possible combinations of 2 final consonants are the following. So these are possible, right? Permitted ones, like liquid and consonant, like r and p, possible. And r and m, r, s, r, l, l, p, l, m, l, s. Liquid and the following consonant. And nasal and obstruent categories, n, d, n, t, all these are possible. Okay. Actually, these are not examples for phonotactics in English. These are permitted clusters. Okay, you don't have to confuse them. Okay, because we were talking about phonotactics. Phonotactics means the situations or the combinations of consonants that are not allowed in a particular language, not permitted. Then these are the examples. These are the examples for initial consonant clusters, but still there are permitted initial clusters as well as permitted final clusters. Okay, right. So whenever you write examples, if you happen to write about phonotactics, be careful not to take examples from permitted ones because they are not phonotactics. Phonotactics means not permitted, not allowed combinations. Okay, right? Did I make it clear in brief about phonotactics? Yeah? You are not talking a lot, so I don't know whether you are following me. Yes, now next we have a different topic that is on suprasegmental features. Okay, suprasegmental features here. Now, okay, I have to ask the same question again here as well because I need to keep in touch with you all without explaining things here like an alien. Okay, I just want to know how far you are familiar with these concepts or whether this is the first time you are getting to know about these concepts. Likewise, I need to know. So now suprasegmental features form one important area in phonetics. Okay, in phonetics, basically we have two areas, segmental features and suprasegmental features. And we discuss segmental features a lot. But still, you can't forget that suprasegmental features are also existing in any language, not only in English, right? We have suprasegmental features in all the languages, just like the segmental features. And I now want to know whether you are familiar with this word or the term called suprasegmental features. Oh, there's another term which I have not written here, I think. Yeah, another term is called prosodic features. Can I know whether you have any kind of familiarity about this term? Highly appreciate if you can let me know. Yes. Yes.
Studied, madam, but not in touch.
Not in touch. Not in touch in the sense you have forgotten. Is that the meaning of what you say? Forgotten. So, how about the others? Because I don't think that this is anything new. I don't know. Messages are coming in, but I can't say. Third lesson. Third lesson means Gayani, do you mean this lesson? The one I am currently discussing.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, madam.
Okay, just wait a minute then. I need to, okay, please the others. Now I have already sent this note, but just go through because I need to go back. In order to check. Wait, Yes. Third lesson means this phonology, phonotactics, and suprasegmental features. Okay, we'll see. Okay, I sent it. Check whether you have received. Yeah, did you receive it?
Yes, madam, I received it.
Okay, right. I'll go back to my screen. Yeah. Well, now this is, yeah, suprasegmental features then. I'll give you a very brief intro to what suprasegmental features are. And if you have forgotten, right, you will remember. Well, now suprasegmental features, I told you earlier, in any language, we have these two features, two types of features, segmental and suprasegmental. And segmental features are the ones that exist in segments. Segment means part, unit, right? In segmental features are the ones that we can observe as separate units, separate parts. Examples are the vowels, consonants, semivowels, uh, uh, diphthongs, etc., or even triphthongs. Whatever whatever a thing that exists in separate units, which means, in other words, sounds or phonemes. They are the segmental features, or we call them segmental phonemes as well. Segmental phonemes or features, right? And on the other hand, you have the suprasegmental features. So what do you mean by suprasegmental features? There we talk about some features that we can't identify as existing in separate segments or separate units. That is why they are called suprasegmental. Supra means beyond the level of segmentation. That is how we get the term suprasegmental. So the examples, the commonest examples for suprasegmental features are stress, pitch, tone, intonation, juncture, right? These are the suprasegmental features, and you never ever find stress. You know about stress. Here stress means phonological stress. Okay. Stress to be available in as one unit or separate, just like a vowel or a consonant, no. And you never ever find intonation to be a single unit, like vowel or consonant. They are applied to strings of utterances or strings of syllables. That is why we call these features to be suprasegmental, going beyond the level of segmentation. Okay. Another word, as I earlier told, is this prosodic features. Another similar term for suprasegmental features. Okay. Now, these suprasegmental features are important, and that is why we have a separate topic to discuss. And when we talk about phonology and phonetics, we give important attention to talk about suprasegmental features also. Other than the discussion on segmental features. Why do you think? Because the main reason, by using suprasegmental features, whenever we use any language to communicate, we can convey meaning. Or else, in other words, we can change the meaning. We can change the meaning by using suprasegmental features. Actually, we can change the word meaning, the superficial meaning, by using suprasegmental features as we wish. So they are very much helpful to communicate the content, communicate a message, just like the segmental features. Therefore, we say suprasegmental features are equally important like the segmental features. Okay, right. So that is the basic idea. And here we are going to briefly talk about stress and intonation. Right? As suprasegmental features, is they are the commonest suprasegmental features, and we are going to start with stress. Stress is one. And then we have, okay, we'll go to the intonation after we finish our discussion on stress. Well, now before I continue, could you please go through this part leisurely? Leisurely means don't take a long time, okay? Because I don't want to introduce stress all by myself. You have this note with you, and you can see my screen now. You can just refer to my screen. Just take few minutes, go through this part and get a clear understanding, because I'm not going to read all these lines, right? I will give you a basic idea. In order for you to catch the basic idea, please go through this part first. Okay, I'll give you a small reading time, like 3-4 minutes. Okay. Okay, you can read up to these parts. Okay. Yeah. There's a considerable area about stress. So you can go through it now. Not only the part that is visible on my screen. Okay. Please go through the whole part. And I'll give you the required time for that. Okay, right. Hope you have got some idea now about stress. If you have forgotten about stress, you might have remembered. Okay, so let me brief then. Have you finished? Or still thinking about the note or what? Oh, are you in a break now? What is happening? Still reading or finished? I don't hear anything from you. Yoganandi, what is happening?
Finished, ma'am.
Okay. Right, so now let's check then. Check means see whether you have understood about stress clearly. Now stress, we call it exactly phonological stress, right? That means by definition, stress is having a great articulatory effort. Having a great articulatory effort when we produce certain sounds. And it involves, as you can see here, a rise in air pressure and increase in the activity of the respiratory muscles forces more air out of the lungs during the articulation of a particular syllable. And there is an increase in the activity of the larynx resulting in higher pitch. And in acoustic terms, the stressed syllable is perceived as longer, louder, and of higher pitch. Okay, if we have a kind of effort, articulatory effort, okay, in producing a particular sound, then that is what you mean by stress. And we can stress a sound in so many different ways. One way is that we can stress a sound by dragging it. Dragging means lengthening. That means taking comparatively a longer time to produce a particular sound than we take to produce other sounds. Length, okay, length. Oh, it's longer. And sometimes, some other times, we can stress a sound or a syllable by making it louder. Okay, but because compared to the other sounds, our stress sound is louder. And pitch level, we can change the loudness and pitch. There are slight differences anyway. Okay, if you want, we can stress a syllable or a sound by pronouncing it with a higher pitch compared to the other sounds that are lower in pitch level. The other way around also happens, right? If we want to stress a sound, we can tell it in a low pitch, whereas the other sounds can be produced in a higher pitch. So pitch also varies, right? We can use pitch as a factor. Okay, these are how we can produce stressed syllable or a stressed sound. And don't think that all these qualities should be there for us to stress a sound. No, even one single characteristic is enough. Let's say I want to stress a sound, then I will just drag it. I will lengthen. I will take a long time to produce it. So that is stressed. Or else I can just produce it with a high pitch only. Or else, without having high pitch or lengthening or doing anything, I can have a very big effort, right? A big puff of air is produced when I say the sound. So it happens in any of these ways. Stressing can be done in any of these ways. And there are several levels of stressing. Accordingly, we have primary stress, secondary stress, and also tertiary stress. Primary stress means that is the strongest stress. And secondary stress, next strong stress. And unstress means we never stress. 3 levels, and you have these particular marks that indicate these 3 levels. Especially when you read something, you might find these symbols in front of any syllable or a sound. So what you should understand is that if you ever find this type of mark in front of any sound or a syllable, you should understand the following syllable or a sound is stressed, right? It receives the primary stress, the strongest stress. Similarly, you can understand the others. Okay. And there's an example also, computation. Computation. Now, in this word, there are so many syllables, right? Computation. 4 syllables are there. That's a multisyllabic word. And in these 4 syllables, we stress the third one, T. It carries the strongest stress. And the first syllable, com, is also stressed, and that receives the secondary, right? The secondary stress. Okay. So we say third syllable carries the primary stress, and the first syllable, that means com, carries the secondary stress. So this is how you can mark the stress in this word. I think the markings are clear to you. But normally now, for this purpose, you don't have to try hard or try to remember a lot about the secondary or the unstressed levels. It is always useful for you to know about the unstressed syllables. Syllables that are never ever stressed, especially syllables that are containing schwa. The vowel schwa, this one. This is typically unstressed vowel in English. Okay, so wherever you have schwa, this one, this vowel, that syllable is never stressed. Okay, so that's a general fact. And the secondary level, you don't have to try hard to remember, but the first level, that means the primary stress, you have to know, which means whenever you are given a word and the question says you need to identify the stress, the primary stress, or the question may not say primary stress, the question might ask you to identify the stress. So you need to consider primary stress only. Don't have to, unless specified in the question, don't have to identify primary stress and secondary stress and all these things. Okay, you need to consider only the primary stress. But at the same time, be aware that the stress happens in all these 3 levels. Right, and here you must have read about some generalizations about stress at the word level. Okay, when we talk about the words as a whole at word level, now the thing is this. Okay, let's talk approach to that discussion like this. Now, here I told you in any word there are several syllables other than monosyllabic words. Usually we have monosyllabic words and disyllabic words and polysyllabic words. If it is a monosyllabic word, there's only one syllable, no? Then you don't have any problem because only one syllable is there and that syllable receives the stress, primary stress. But if you think about a disyllabic word or a polysyllabic word, disyllabic word means a word that has 2 syllables. Polysyllabic or multisyllabic word means a word that has more than 2 syllables. That means 3, 4, 5, 6 like that. Okay, then how to find the primary stress? How? Because English, we are taking examples from the English language. English is not our native tongue. Therefore, all these patterns, stress distribution is not familiar to us. We have to learn them as they are not familiar. But now just think about the stress distribution and stress patterns of your mother tongue, either Sinhala or Tamil. No one has to teach you, okay, this is how you should stress the words in Sinhala or Tamil. No, no one has to teach you. Automatically you know them, right? Because you have acquired, along with the language, these suprasegmental features talking about the mother tongue. But talking about our second language, English, we are learning it now rather than acquiring. Then we are learning grammar, vocabulary, everything. At the same time, we have to learn these suprasegmental features too. We have to learn, we have to acquire them by usage. Okay, then we have this problem. Talking about disyllabic words or polysyllabic words, we don't know. Okay, now let's say disyllabic word, 2 syllables are there. First one, second one. Then which syllable receives the stress? How do we know? Unless we have any familiarity about that word or unless we have used it before. How to know? There's a problem. Okay, there's a problem. Then here, there's a clue for you to use to solve that problem to some extent. Okay, to some extent, you can solve that problem because here you can find some generalizations. Talking about how to put the stress onto the first syllable or to the second syllable, especially talking about disyllabic words here. Okay, stress can distinguish different parts of speech as in the corresponding sets of nouns and verbs. Now you have 2 columns here, 2 lists, noun list and verb list. Then you can find, remember, okay, most of the time, if it is a disyllabic noun, the stress, here we talk about primary stress, okay? The primary stress falls on to the first syllable. First syllable. I'm underlining the first syllables. Right? And if you are talking about a disyllabic verb, right? Stress usually falls onto the second syllable. Second means the last or final syllable. Right? Now you have similar words, but one situation it is used as a noun, another situation it is used as a verb. No spelling difference. Then how do you change the word? How do you give the noun meaning or verb meaning? Only by your accent or pronunciation. So what is the difference between the first one? Now look at the first set. Produce, produce. Produce, produce. Actually, produce usually we use as a verb, but it is used as a noun when you stress the first syllable. Then the listener will understand you are referring to noun meaning. But if you stress the latter part, means the second syllable, deuce, okay, then the listener will understand you are referring to the particular relevant action of this word. That means the verb, produce, right? Address, address. You can see the difference between the pronunciations of 2 words. And import, import. When you say import, that is the noun. Import, that is the verb. Insult, insult. Now this set you don't, I get the, please check your lecture material. Okay, check the lecture material. Check whether these marks are available. If not, you need to add them. Insult, insult. And survey, noun, survey, verb. Incline, incline. Export, export. There's a slight difference anyway. Okay, very slight difference between the pronunciations of both words. But still you need to catch the difference in stress placement. The noun set, always we stress the first syllable. And verb set, we always stress the second syllable. For you to understand it clearly, here I have taken similar words. Similar words used either as a noun or as a verb. Okay, right? Now, this is about disyllabic verbs, but there are polysyllabic verbs available and there are rules talking about stress placement regarding polysyllabic verbs. So you need to read a little bit more in order to be more familiar with the stress placement. Don't think that this is all we have to talk about stress. No, stress means a large area, but I'm introducing you to the stress, that's all. Okay, so therefore I have to limit my discussion. And here you have another aspect when you talk about stress. Like talking about strong and weak forms. Hope you must have read this part as well. Okay, strong and weak forms. Now the thing is this: when we talk about the pronunciation of the words, we can pronounce a word in two ways. Basically, two ways. One is in full form. The other is in reduced form. Full form is the strong pronunciation and reduced form is the weak pronunciation. So then what is the difference between strong pronunciation and weak pronunciation, or full form and reduced form? You need to understand it by looking at this chart, this table. Okay, right? Now, usually, remember, we can either produce or pronounce the full form or reduced form, usually with the function words, right? Function words. If I just go back, talking about the English grammar, there are word classes, right? There are word classes. There are two main types of word classes: open word class and closed word class. And open word class words are called like noun, verb, adjective, adverb, contain words. Contain words or lexical words. Open word class. Whereas closed word class, they are what are the items that come under the closed word class? Prepositions, conjunctions, auxiliary verbs, pronouns, determiners, enumerators, interjections, so and so. They belong to the closed word class, and these words are called structure words or function words. Right? Okay, I hope you already have some idea about that part. Then, if we come back to this pronunciation of full and reduced versions, talk about function words, that means closed word class items. We talk about the closed word class items because all the time, remember, all the time, we produce open word class items with the strong form. With the strong form. Right? Open word class, which means nouns, verbs, adjective, adverbs. Always we pronounce these items in their full form, right? But sometimes we pronounce function words or closed word class items in their full form or in their reduced forms, or in strong form or weak form. Understand? Here you have this table showing the strong and weak forms of function words, that means closed word classes. And these words are given in the first column under word, and you have strong pronunciation and weak pronunciation separately, and example of weak form as well for you to understand the usage. Now look at the difference. Okay, just go through this list again now carefully and tell me the main difference. There may be so many differences, but identify the main difference between strong pronunciation and weak pronunciation. Now, what is the main difference? If you want, okay, you can read it again. Especially read the second and third columns, that means strong and weak columns. These two columns. Examples. Okay, catch the main difference of the pronunciation of strong and weak forms. It is very obvious. Okay. Yes, what is the difference? Did you catch it? Go through the two list again. It is very obvious. Yes. Hello. Any point? I don't know whether this symbol is clear to you. Did you recognize this symbol? This one? Can you see in every weak form, this symbol occurs? What is that? What the sound? In all these situations, you have it. Actually, that is the difference. And this symbol is what I earlier wrote on screen. Schwa. This is schwa. The symbol is a bit problematic because this is an image actually, right? I have taken an image here. So in that book, the schwa is indicated like this. I have underlined them. By the way, you need to make sure that you understood this. What is the difference between strong and weak form? So now can anyone of you tell me? Any idea? Okay, I have to ask. Do I have to ask individually? Anybody who would like to tell anything? Any observation? Yoganandi, do you have any idea? As the time is passing, I'll just brief the difference between strong and weak forms is that we can see schwa in the weak forms. That means these strong vowels of the strong forms. Strong vowel means a and u.
Different pronunciation of the same word.
Yeah, that's the thing. You need to be clearer, right? That's what I'm explaining now. These strong vowels you can identify now in the strong list. Strong vowels means either u, or a, right? These ones, o, a, a. I'm underlining these strong vowels. This is u, right? It is missing. All these are strong vowels, and these strong vowels are replaced by the weak vowel called schwa in the weak form. That is what is happening, right? Okay, so and is the strong, the full form or strong pronunciation, and it is produced, or the weak pronunciation of and is un. Can you see the difference now? Listen to the difference. And, un. To, t. Can, can. At, as, could, could. Than, then. You, ye. Had, could. Would. Are, them, them. Here. Now, especially you can find these weak pronunciations in this context, right? When you produce the function words in quick speech, not what I did now. Actually, I did it in isolation. I was producing each and every word separately. But in separate pronunciation, in individual pronunciation, usually we do not produce the weak forms. We produce the strong forms. Weak forms appear, remember, weak forms appear whenever we produce these function words quickly in our everyday pronunciation, in everyday language, quickly, casually. Okay? I've got to make dinner and clean up. I've got to make dinner and clean up, like that. You can find the reduced forms here and here. But if you tell the same sentence leisurely, right, slowly, then you will be producing not the weak forms, but strong forms. Either when you produce the function words in isolation or in a slow manner, then you are producing strong forms. Or when you produce function words, when you say function words in natural conversations quickly, then you use the weak forms. That's the difference. Okay. Right. Well, I will move on to the latter part of stress here. Now, actually, why this discussion, these strong and weak forms are important because we were talking about stress, no? The difference lies in stress. Strong forms are stressed and weak forms are not stressed. That is the difference. Okay, right. And here in this part, you must have read about stress in the phrase level. I don't know whether I'm getting some messages in the chat because I can't see them. Did anyone send any message? I don't see, although it's indicated there, it's not visible. If anybody wants to tell anything or add anything, please unmute your mic and talk because I don't see anything in this chat. Okay. Right. All the time I'm getting them. Okay, okay. Shani, from Shan. Yes, strong forms are used for stress. Shani, the thing is, like, this is the thing. Strong forms are stressed and weak forms are unstressed. That is why we call them weak forms. And if any form is stressed, then that is a strong. Okay, right? That is how you need to get it. Right. Okay. Now in this part, we talk about stress at the phrasal level. Earlier, we were talking about stress at the word level. Yeah, the word stress, right? Basically, stress has two types, word stress and sentence stress. Earlier, we talked about word stress where the syllables, which syllable, is it the first syllable or second syllable that receives stress? That discussion is based on the word level, which we call word stress. And this is the other side of the stress, where we talk about how to stress words in a sentence or in a phrase. Stress at the phrasal level, and that is called sentence stress. Okay. Now, when we talk about, now here we don't pay attention to the syllables. We never try to find out which syllable is receiving stress, which is not receiving stress. No, we talk about which word receives stress, which word doesn't receive stress like that. Okay, so now when you simply talk about a sentence, right? Now you have a sentence here now. In autumn, the dry yellow leaves fall from the trees. There's a sentence like this. Now, which words do you stress? Which words you do not stress? That is what we need to discuss here at the phrasal level. Stress at the phrasal level. Okay, so there's one very clear and common rule. You can easily remember it. Okay, what is the rule? We stress the content words. It's mentioned there in the note, right? We stress the content words. Content words means the words that come under the open word class, noun, verb, adjective, and adverbs. And we do not stress the function words. That means preposition, conjunction, pronouns, articles that come under the closed word class category. Okay, that is the only rule. Only rule is that we stress the content words. We do not stress the function words. In this example, what are the words you are going to stress? I don't know whether I have added that in the note. Yeah. What are the words? It's clearly mentioned there. Yes. I have highlighted the stressed words. Autumn, dry, yellow, leaves, fall, trees. All these are content words. And we do not plan, right? Automatically, when we produce a sentence like this, we stress these highlighted words, content words, and at the same time, we do not pay much attention to the pronunciation of the other words. What are the other words? In, a preposition, the, article, from, preposition, the article. Okay, these function words are not stress. They never receive stress. Then there's a reason. Now you might think, why do we stress the content words? And why we do not stress the function words? There's a clear reason for that. Because by stressing content words, we can easily pass the message. Because the listener has to catch the meaning of the message only by understanding the content words, the meanings of the content words. And why should we use the function words then? In order to maintain correct grammar. That is all. Otherwise, function words never help us communicate the message or communicate our main idea. No, only the content words help us to communicate the message. Therefore, we stress the content words. Talking about the communication purpose, function words are unimportant. They are unimportant, so we do not stress them. Okay, that's the clear, simple logic behind sentence stress or phrasal stress. Okay, right. So get this idea as well. And here you have a set of words. The question says, mark the primary and secondary stress of the following words. Give your priority to mark the primary stress. And at the same time, if you have any idea regarding, okay, which is the next stress syllable, you can mark the secondary stress also. But always I'm asking you to prioritize the primary stress. Okay, right. So I will give you, now this is a kind of revision work. Now I have come to the end of the discussion of the stress. For you to understand the nature of stress, this short discussion must have been enough, I believe. Okay. So therefore, try this. If you have a hard copy, then the work is easy. You just put the stress mark, primary stress, first round. And the second round, if you have any idea, mark the secondary stress as well. Okay. Now, for you to mark the primary or secondary stress, you can't be just reading the word on my screen or in your hard copy. No, reading will never help. Right? You have to pronounce the word, and that pronunciation should not be artificial. It's a natural pronunciation. I think these words are familiar to you. All are from the English language. Okay. Some are borrowings, but now they belong to the English language. So simply pronounce these words, then you might feel certain syllables are strong. You stress them. That is the primary stress. primary, the strong syllable. Okay, right. So I'll give you a few minutes for that. 5 minutes. Will that be enough? 5 minutes? Yeah. Okay, 5 to 7 minutes take, right? And we'll see. Okay, right. What is happening now? Have you finished? At least, did you identify the primary stress? Yes, what's happening? I don't think I should be giving you more time for that. Okay, right. Yeah, I have I think the answers. Because you all are not talking, so it's difficult to know what you have done. But if you have tried at least some words here, I don't know the time was enough or not, but at least if you have tried some words, you can check your answers with this. I have marked both the primary and secondary stress in most of the words. In some words, actually, only the primary stress. Okay. Hope you can see the screen now. Yeah. You can take a screenshot or a photo and check with your answers. Right? And at the same time, when you are checking, you can add the secondary stress mark as well, especially to the words I have not marked. Mhm. Okay, right. So we have few more minutes left. So I'm going to the next topic, intonation. And in this case, I'm not going to give you any reading time because my intention is to brief this intonation. Yeah, briefly, intonation means pitch variation, right? That means collection of different pitch levels. Pitch means the voice level, right? And we have basically three main pitch levels: high pitch, low pitch, and medium pitch level. Okay, high pitch, low pitch, and medium. So just think about a sentence, right? A complete or with a phrase or a sentence. From the beginning to the end of a sentence, how many pitch levels? Or just think that whether you are uh, pronouncing or producing an utterance using only one pitch level or more than one pitch level? One. Only one pitch level or more than one. The average situation is we produce an utterance with more than one pitch level. That means in certain parts we have high pitch, certain other parts we have low pitch, and there's a medium pitch level also in some parts. So in other words, an utterance is a collection of different pitch levels, variations of pitch level. And that is what you mean by intonation. Right? It's a collection of various pitch levels. Accordingly, we have several different intonations, right? Now, hope you have gone through, you will read this part in order to understand fully the introductory part, but I will briefly talk about the different pitch levels, the pitch pattern here, it's given as pitch pattern, but intonation patterns. Basically, you have falling intonation, rising intonation. And then the third one, falling, rising intonation. Fourth one, rising, falling intonation. And there's a fifth category called level intonation, right? Falling intonation means if you consider this to be your sentence or utterance, beginning to the end of the utterance, If it is falling intonation, you start somewhere here, somewhere at the high level or middle level, and towards the end of the utterance, your pitch level goes down. It goes down to a low level, right? Okay, this is how the falling intonation takes place. And talking about the rising intonation, you start somewhere at a low level, and towards the end of the utterance, you go up, rising pitch level. And then if you think about falling rising pitch level, same utterance, okay? Within the same utterance, first you fall and then rise. And the other way around, you have in the rising falling intonation. There, first you rise and then fall. Well, and what about the level? Yeah, I'll draw here. Level intonation means from the beginning to the end of the utterance, you maintain same pitch level. Same pitch level. Okay, these are the 5 main types of intonation. Here you have the meanings associated with these different pitch levels and intonation patterns, right? First you have this falling. Long falling, what is the meaning? And short falling, what does it mean? Long rising, short rising, rising falling, falling rising. Likewise, you have some other subcategories also. But here I gave you the main 5 categories, right? Out of these main 5 categories, first 4 categories are very important because level intonation we don't consider to be very much natural or very common. We can see the level intonation in limited situations in our everyday lives. But we see falling intonation, rising intonation, falling, rising, and rising, falling very often to indicate different units, as you can find in this table. Okay, right. Here also you have the meanings given in relation to an example, utterance, yes. Right? So how do you say yes? Pitch pattern comes in the first column, long falling, yes. Now how do you say yes with the falling intonation, long falling, yes. That means the answer is yeah. Right, that's right. What about short falling? Quickly you say yes, yes. The answer is yes. The intended meaning you find here in the third column. The answer is yes, but I'm impatient with your question or find it unimportant. That this sort of an attitude is involved there. Okay, this sort of an attitude if you have short falling. And long rising, yes. Did you say yes? That's what I mean, right? Short rising means yes, yes, perhaps, or please go on, I'm listening. That is the intended meaning. And rising, falling is yes. You might find it a bit difficult to understand the rising, falling within the short utterance like yes, but yes, yes, I'm certain, sure. But if you first fall and then finally rise, yes, I'm doubtful. So now can you understand how important intonation is? Right? Although the utterance is similar, right? It is yes. By varying the pitch pattern or intonation patterns, we can vary our intended meaning. That's the point there. We can imply different meanings by changing our pitch patterns. That is why we say the suprasegmental features are meaningful and therefore they are important. Okay, so I expect you to refer to these notes. And when we talk about intonation, tone groups are there, but unfortunately, I'm running short of time, right? We have to talk about tone groups. I will end the show to get some, yeah. And pitch patterns in different sentence types. Okay, we have some more part, like a few actually. few more areas to be discussed under suprasegmental phonemes. So let's continue. Okay, let's continue with the rest of this. And during my next session, I'm meeting you next Sunday as well. I will start the next lesson also. Okay, after we finish the discussion with this, the next topic, I will share the note of the next topic, then next day, and we'll continue. Okay, so please don't let these things forget, because I'm not going to repeat now. I will be starting with the tone groups next day. Okay, right now as the time is passing, I will wind up the discussion for today. I highly appreciate you if you can contribute a lot. Like if you just don't understand or don't follow, just stop me and you can come up with your own idea. Okay, I highly appreciate that. All right, then, as the time is up, I will stop then. See you next day, right? Next Sunday. Good night, all of you.
Good night, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you.